The biggest ship.
World's largest.
The biggest ship. Ship.
Taller than Eiffel Tower.
Giant ship.
Royal Caribbean.
Giant ship.
Titanic in 1912 was the longest ship, up to 296.1 meters to be exact. SS Norway in 1990, 315 meters long, nearly 20 meters longer than Titanic. Liberty of the Seas in 2007, 338 meters. 2015 Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas launches with 362 meters. And now, in 2023, we have Icon of the Seas, which is going to be 365 meters long to become the world's largest cruise ship. So, what have you noticed? Past three largest cruise ships in the world have been dominated by Royal Caribbean cruises. But my question is, why are cruise ships even getting bigger and bigger every few years? And it's not just Royal Caribbean. There are many cruise ship brands that have been doing this for the past few years. And I am curious, are you? Well, let's find out. Okay, let's play a quick game. I'm going to ask you to identify different car brands and let's see if you can guess them all. Although, I'm hoping you're able to guess at least one. Okay, what famous car brand do you think this one is? Yep, BMW. What do you think about this sports car? Right, Bugatti. And what about this popular American luxury brand? You got it, Cadillac. Now, I did not show you any logos or brand names, but you were able to guess it. And even if you couldn't identify a car brand, I'm sure they all kind of felt familiar to you, like you have seen this before, right? But unfortunately, that is not the case with cruise ships. Now, I know that the world of cars and cruise ships are two completely different things, and you see more cars than ships daily, but hear me out. You see, most cruise ships look similar to their shape and design, and it isn't just design. The features in most big ships these days are also somewhat similar, but are styled differently. And one of the only things that differs each cruise ship from another is how they brand it or how they style it and package it to you. You see, cruise ships are finding it hard to brand something with a unique proposition, and only a select few are actually doing it successfully. And yeah, you are right. You can't compare cruise ships with cars, but you can compare cruises with hotels. Because just like the cruises, most hotel rooms and experiences are quite similar. And what do? They try to sell you something that you haven't experienced before. And that's why there is a jumbo jet converted to a hotel room, or a 7-star hotel in the middle of an island, or a room with views to the aquarium. But hotels and resorts all over the world have a couple of few advantages over the cruises. They can look however they want. They don't even have to move, and they don't need to have engines running. They don't even have to stay on top of water. So they have a lot more room to attract you with, but cruise ships don't. So, over the past several years, more than ever before, cruise lines all over the world have been looking for something to catch your interest and to hook you on, at least once every few years. And they think that one of the best ways to do that would be by building bigger and bigger cruise ships. Almost where for the cruise ship industry, bigger has kind of become newer. And so if Wonder of the Seas is the biggest cruise ship in the world right now, then the next cruise ship would probably be, well, bigger. Enter Icon of the Seas. Icon of the Seas is all set to be the biggest cruise ship in the world, arriving in 2024. And at this point, Royal Caribbean is primarily known for breaking records of building the biggest ships. And every few years, they build the new biggest ship of the world. And yes, the question remains, why? Now, I'll explain why and get to the secret as well. And the first one is obviously marketing, right? You see, the biggest cruise ship tagline, what does it do? It creates headlines in the news, and YouTubers like me would jump to create videos about it and talk about it as long as they could, because it creates huge buzz in the tourism industry. And usually, Royal Caribbean announces their next big cruise a couple years before it's even ready to sail, to build up all the hype and anticipation among the cruise ship fans and audience. But the second one is what I call as the big ship psychology. And yeah, I just made that word up, but it is kind of a real thing. You see, the big ship psychology is simply when you know that if it's the biggest ship, you automatically assume that it may have more cool or fun things to do and activities to experience than the previous ship. Because in most of our heads, bigger translates to better. Which may be true in some instances. They do sometimes have better rooms or one more new giant water slide, etc. But because you're curious to know why it's bigger, now you're curious to know how is it better. And bingo! They've got your attention now. Now for something I didn't know before making this video. The secret. You know how I kept saying in this video that Icon of the Seas would be the biggest ship in the world starting 2024? But do you know that it is bigger by just 3 meters? That is around 9 feet. That means Harmony of the Seas, which is 362 meters long currently, and Icon of the Seas is going to be 365 meters long. Now, I do understand that there's a limit to how big you could get with ships, but this, in my opinion, is very much a trap, to be honest. And guess what? It doesn't stop there. Royal Caribbean has different class groups for their fleet. So for example, Oasis of the Seas launched in 2009 to become the world's largest ship. Then came Allure of the Seas in 2010, which became the world's largest ship again. And then Harmony of the Seas in 2015, world's largest ship. And then Symphony of the Seas and Wonder of the Seas in 2018, 2022 respectively to become the world's largest cruise ship every time. But do you know what's common among all of these ships? They all belong to Oasis class ship category. And so, they're all the same length, 362 meters long. Yup, they're all the same length, and just because there was a new cruise every couple years, they advertised it as the biggest cruise ship in the world every time there was a new one launched. Because 362 meters is the longest you could get. So, logically speaking, every new cruise which is 362 meters long, no matter if it's Royal Caribbean or Costa Cruises or Carnival Cruises, it would make that ship the largest ship. Okay, let's talk about business. Let's talk about efficiency. And now, I know this might sound a little boring, so I'm gonna keep it short this one. You know, while passengers perceive cruising as a vacation, it is unmistakably a business. And cruise lines would not keep increasing the size of their ships if it did not help their bottom line. You see, the more efficiently a ship can operate, that is, the lower the cost of operation per passenger, the more money the cruise line can make. Newer and larger ships may be less expensive to operate, particularly on a per-person basis. Let me give you an example. On a recent investor call, Royal Caribbean Group discussed how its newer, larger ships can break even on cash flow at approximately 35% capacity, while older, smaller ships are closer to 50%. So, if this large ship fills up only 35%, they are able to break even, so there's no profit, no loss. But these older ships, they would have to fill that up to 50%, which is going to be a little bit harder. And back in 2017, Royal Caribbean made $187 per person, and that figure jumped to $209 just 2 years later in 2019 by operating more larger cruise ships. Now, Carnival Corporation, or Carnival Cruises, they disposed of 19 older and less efficient ships. And according to Travel Weekly, the largest new ships are exponentially more profitable than ships delivered even a decade ago. And I'll attach a link down below for you to read. But when I named this chapter Efficiency is Equal to Economics, I just don't mean for the cruise ship companies. but also for us as customers. When you spend money on cruise experience, you want to get the most out of that experience. And you're not going to get that by spending on smaller cruises. I know that smaller cruises are cheaper and might have their advantages, but you might as well add a little more to your budget. Take a giant cruise ship and get the best experience on board. Also, in most scenarios, bigger cruise ships travel among the most famous routes to bring in more people. So, yes, this trend of bigger ships is gonna go on, and it should, because there isn't a major trade-off for you as a customer and for them as a business. But I think there's a limit to how big cruise ships could get.
Can you feel it? Can you feel the thunder?